Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to bring back all the hostages still held by Hamas as the war in Gaza hits the one-year mark. Tens of thousands of Israeli and Palestinian lives have been lost in the past 12 months as diplomatic efforts persist to seal a deal between Israel and Hamas. A year on, the goals of an eventual deal remain unchanged. These are end the fighting, bring hostages home and stop the killing of civilians. Israel is holding multiple events across the country to mark the day Hamas killed some 1,200 people and abducted more than 250 others. Hundreds gathered at the site of the outdoor music festival where more than 360 people were killed and dozens taken hostage.
Until now, we say I didn't believe until now what happened. It's like a dream, like a nightmare. Not dream is something good, nightmare, and it's not finished.
Amid commemorations, Hamas's armed wing launched a barrage of rockets across the border towards Israel, including Tel Aviv. At least 2 people were reportedly injured. A year of constant bombardments has pulverized Gaza. That's the enclave before and after. Nearly 60% of buildings in Gaza are said to have been damaged or utterly destroyed. Almost 42,000 people have been killed during a year of Israeli strikes in Gaza. This is according to local officials. 100,000 more have been wounded and nearly all are now displaced. They're forced to live in tents along the Mediterranean shore. Humanitarian organizations say there is no safe space left in the besieged enclave. Israeli forces say they are continuing operations across the Strip. At least 25 people were killed over the weekend after airstrikes hit a school and mosques used as shelters in central Gaza.
أصبحت غزة هي مكان غير صالح للعيش، هي مكان غير صالح للاستخدام الآمن على أقل تقدير جراء تدمير كل شيء على هذه الأرض بعد استهداف كل شيء فيها، الحجر والشجر والطفل والرجل والامرأة وحتى الأراضي الزراعية وأبار المياه منذ 7 أكتوبر العام الماضي حتى 7 أكتوبر هذا العام.
A Hamas official said the attacks on the 7th of October last year took Israel back to, quote, square zero and was, quote, a natural response to the occupation. Leaders of G7 nations are standing in solidarity with Israel 1 year on, as Germany, France and the UK repeating their support for Israel. And just in the last few minutes, US President Joe Biden reaffirming America's full commitment to Israeli security. Japan has, quote, unequivocally condemned the attacks, but has also expressed grave concern over the humanitarian situation in Gaza. Trent Murray joins us live from Tel Aviv. Trent, earlier we talked about commemorations, multiple commemorations being held across Israel today. Tell us more about what's going on.
Well, the commemorations began at 6:29 a.m. local time, marking exactly 1 year to the minute since Hamas launched that attack on Israel. Of course, 1,200 Israelis were killed, many of them women and children and civilians. And so today really, I think, is a moment of somberness, reflection for people in this country as they remember their loved ones which may have been killed, but also, of course, remembering the 100 or so hostages which are still being held within Gaza. We know that many of those hostage families have spent today outside the residence of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, calling for him to do more to get those hostages home. But we've also seen security really heightened across the country today amid fears that terrorists could try to use the occasion as a draw for yet more violence. Those commemoration services were, of course, disrupted earlier this morning with an initial barrage of rockets from Hamas within Gaza. The IDF says it was able to intercept most of them. And then just in the past few hours, right where we are here in Tel Aviv, a larger barrage was fired. We certainly heard the sirens and the explosions here. We understand, again, air defence was able to intercept most of them, but we hear 2 women in their 30s were injured from shrapnel. So, look, 1 year on and, you know, Israel is now fighting on multiple fronts. There seems to be no immediate solution to the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza. And, of course, for many of the families here, they are still holding out hope of trying to get their loved ones back 365 days later.
And Trent, as you mentioned, Israel now fighting on multiple fronts, and one of those fronts is in Lebanon, fighting between Israeli forces and Hezbollah, intensifying there.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, yet more airstrikes both on the Lebanese capital and also in the south, where those evacuation orders continue to expand. We've just heard the IDF has issued orders for another 24 villages. That takes us up to well over 125 since they launched that ground invasion. They're telling civilians in those towns to get out immediately amid concerns over further fighting. We're also tracking from the Lebanese Health Ministry that I believe it was 10 firefighters. Yeah, 10 firefighters have been killed in an airstrike by Israel, and they say many emergency services workers have been killed amongst all of that fighting. And of course, we know that Hezbollah does continue to put up a stiff resistance to that Israeli invasion. We've seen rockets fired at Haifa earlier today, the third largest city here. A number of them are making impacts. So certainly the fighting intensifying up on that northern front right now.
Well, thanks. Trent Murray reporting live from Tel Aviv.